Nothing. And see, I mean, I'm trying to introduce a narrative here where there might not actually be one. I mean, I'm still trying to figure this out too. But I wanted to try tonight, even if I don't finish. I wanted to try tonight because this is kind of my last chance before I start my Nine Circles of Couch event, which runs almost 3 weeks in length across 9 episodes. I'm doing Diablo 3. I split it up into 9 parts because that just happens to be the number of episodes of normal Game Couch that I had scheduled before Destiny comes out. And it was already scheduled for nine episodes. And I was thinking, I just got done reading Dante's Inferno, and there happens to be 9 Circles of Hell. So I decided, well, I'll name it 9 Circles of Couch and split it up into 9 parts. And that's where that came to be. That's where that came from. But, this is the last episode before that, so I kind of wanted to get this done tonight because it's kind of my last chance. He's still making that ghostly cry. Lisa. Hello, Lisa. I see you, Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Don't get too close now. And she just disappears. If you watch closely, you can see her just blink out of existence. Now, let's see what she sounds like next time she gets spawned in. Let's see if it's the ghostly cry or if it's the human cry. Because I think that might have something to do with it. The game keeps throwing the idea at me that there's more than one version of me. If that's true, then there's more than one version of Lisa also. Is it not true that could be the case? And the noises she makes might be indicative of which one is spawning into the hall. So I'm waiting for the static to pick up again. Maybe I'm meant to get possessed by the good Lisa. Okay, there's the human crying again. And she's not there. Urgh. Man. I kind of feel like I might be onto something. I've never heard anyone on the internet talk about the two different ways that she cries. If that ends up being significant, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I don't know why she didn't spawn in though. So I've only recently started paying attention to the different ways that she cries. So maybe she doesn't spawn in with the good cry? Maybe she only spawns in with this cry? I don't know. Nope, she didn't spawn in with this cry. I'm not sure. I am thinking that the crying is significant. The more I think about it, because why put that in? Like, as a developer, why put that in if it wasn't significant? I mean, think about it. You got to have someone come out and record two different versions of something that doesn't matter if it doesn't matter. That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to hang out in the bathroom and hope that the next cry is the human cry. And I'm going to give her a little bit more time to spawn in, because I think I rushed it last time. And go for about 20 more minutes. So hopefully I'll solve it by then. Come on, static. Here it comes. That's kind of like a weird. That's the weird moan. Is it? Hello, Lisa. Okay. Yeah, I'm probably possessed now. Man. I still don't really know if that's good or bad. I mean, it seems like it would be bad, but in the context of the demo, I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't hear her. I don't think I'm possessed. Well, yeah, I guess I am. But again, like in the context of the demo, I'm not sure if that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm not really 100% sure what the triggers are. But getting possessed by an evil spirit probably isn't the way to go, even in the context of the demo. I think I'm going to reset the loop. And hopefully get the good cry and approach that Lisa. I kind of think that the way she cries is significant. So I think there's two versions of Lisa. It's the angry, vengeful Lisa, and the other Lisa who's just upset for her baby. I think the latter is the one that I want to deal with. That feels right to me. That feels like that might be significant. Go for about 15 more minutes, I guess. Unless I come up with any new ideas. The first laugh. Mm-hmm. First laugh is like clockwork. And if you loop through enough time, your flashlight can change colors. I heard that that's not significant. See, this is the Lisa I wanted to find. Lisa. Man. You know, with so many people beating it without actually knowing the solution, like just stumbling upon it accidentally, it would be nice for Hideo Kojima to come out and be like, okay, here's how you do it. Because it's not like plenty of people haven't seen the ending yet. You know what I'm saying? Hello, Lisa? Hello, Lisa. Hello, Lisa. I'm not sure that talking to her does anything. A lot of people say that it does, but I don't know. I don't know. Whoop. Oh, crap. I was seeing how close I could get to that, and I think I pushed it a little too much there. I get that first baby laugh like every single time. I wish the second baby laugh was as consistent. Extreme close up. All right, so I'm feeling pretty confident in my idea that there's two versions of Lisa. See, everyone's hung up on the idea that there's two versions of me. You know, the player, the protagonist, not me, but the protagonist. Um, and that's good. I mean, the game tells you that more or less. But if there's two versions of me, the protagonist, then there's two versions of Lisa too, right? I think you can tell them apart by their laugh. That would make sense, yeah? So, this sounds... This sounds kind of weird and off-putting. This is the one that... They kind of start to sound the same to me after a while. They do kind of start to sound the same after a while. Hmm. You know, apparently Hazel is like so brilliant, like a stroke of genius. Apparently it is, because like nobody can figure it out. Yeah, see this version of Lisa, this is the one I want to find. The one that sounds normal, human. I've found her yet when she was laughing like that. I'm wondering if that's significant. Man. I mean, it makes sense. Assuming there are two versions of her, you'd want to find the one with the most humanity, you know, the one that'll help you move on and be nice to you. Yeah, and I kind of want to test that out, you know? But every time I hear that version of her crying, she's not spawned anywhere. So that's a bit frustrating. I keep coming back to this room because this is where I got the second laugh for the first time on my other playthrough. Don't hear her. The static started, but I'm not hearing her. Oh, I hear her now. Hello, Lisa. And she disappears. Hmm. Let's start down here and try to get her to spawn in the other part of the hallway. Hopefully with the more regular sounding crying, if that is significant, which I think that it is. Hello, Lisa. Okay, that was the normal sounding crying, I think. And I was able to sneak up on her and make her disappear without possessing me. So I've done it both ways now, with the human sounding crying and the ghost sounding crying. So I feel like right now I'm in the best place I've been to get the second giggle. So that being the case, let's go back to this room where I got the second giggle before and cross our fingers. I mean, I don't know. You know, nobody on the internet knows. Nobody knows. We're all just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. But last time I got the second giggle, it was right after a static moment. So here comes the static again. And we'll wait this one out. Nothing. Lisa. You're disappointing me, Lisa. What on earth do you want me to do? This was supposed to go smoother today. I mean, I'm still like happy with the progress I made. That's a trigger. I guess just hit up the old triggers, man. I don't know. That's a trigger. I mean, according to the internet, who knows?
Dat was een grote moment.
I heard a voice, man. I think this is the trigger. I went to the phone. I came back, looked at the word hell. And I heard a voice. Almost sounded like someone speaking backwards. I'm staying on this. You know, I've heard that that's a trigger, and I just got a voice out of it. I want to be looking at this when the static starts, because that's when I heard the voice last time, was right when the static was starting. So I'm going to look at this right when the static starts. Here it comes. Man, an entire community of gamers just banging their head against the wall.
You've been chosen.
There you go. Apparently the trigger is the word hell on the wall.
Dad was such a drag. Every day he'd eat the same kind of food, dress the same, sit in front of the same kind of games. Yeah, he was just that kind of guy. But then one day he goes and kills us all. He couldn't even be original about the way he did it. I'm not complaining. I was dying of boredom anyway. But guess what? I will be coming back, and I'm bringing my new toys with me.
Silent Hills. Starring Norman Reedus, of course, from The Boondock Saints, and more recently, The Walking Dead. Plays everybody's favorite character on that show. And then the playable teaser starts over. But, you know, you saw the end of it there. Apparently the trigger is the word hell, because it seemed to kick off the ending when I was focusing on that word. I don't know if it has to do with going back and forth between the phone. I don't think it does. I think it just has to do with focusing in on the word hell. I think it also has to do with making Lisa disappear. I don't know if the version of her crying makes any difference. I like to think that it does, because they are very... there's two very distinct cries, and I think there's like a middle one that's kind of like kind of ghostly, but there's definitely one that's more human than the others. My theory, and it's a working theory, I don't know if it's the case or not, but I think you have to make her cry, or you have to approach her when she's crying in her most human fashion. I think that's the trigger there, and then you go up to the word hell, focus in on it, get that weird guy to talk for a second, and then walk around a bit, wait for another static session, and then after that you get the second laugh. That's what I think. I'm probably not going to play through this again. I just wanted to do it a second time for the stream, for posterity and all that. But before I go, I will go ahead and center the camera on that door, so have a nice background while I do this. This teaser evokes a very distinct and unique feeling, psychologically and emotionally. And I have written a short story that I think evokes the same kind of atmosphere and emotional response. So I'm going to read that. I'm going to recite that here. This is something that I wrote probably about a year ago. And I can't help but see the similarities in my mind between the feelings that this teaser evokes and the feelings that this story evokes. So, here, I grab that in case any kind of screensaver comes on. I don't think it does. So I'm going to go ahead and do a recitation of a story I wrote about a year ago called The Ardalent Strings. That is Ardalent. Ardalent. Okay, this is The Ardalent Strings. The bell chimed, so everyone grabbed hold of their handled strings and walked out of their apartments. The strings came from brass cavities in the wall, and the other ends attached to something unknown to the people. They were meant to pull the strings to taut, and they all did this simultaneously at the chiming of the bell. The strings whirred out of each brass fixture, activating some guessed-at mechanics inside the walls, flywheels and gears and such, clicking and clunking like old clockwork. The strings were too long for the people to simply pull and stand in their rooms. Pulled taut, the length of these strings would leave the people standing in their hallways. Sometimes the people would speak to each other. Oliver was told about the unusual custom by Lester on the day he had moved into the old Abbey apartment building on Flint Street. Bell in line. Who is it that rings the bell? Oliver was new, and knowing no one but directing his question to a sea of old faces in the hall, holding his handle and string. It is not for us to know, just accept that it is so, replied old Mrs. Cardicole. We pull our strings each time it rings. That is the nature of living here. though it may seem vain and queer. Our labor is to taut the strings whenever the bell of Abbey rings. Where do the strings go? Oliver asked, not wanting to give up so easily. We pull our strings, the brass-handled strings, and meet here in the hall. That's all to say. It's the way of things. There's nothing more at all. And Mrs. Cardicle gave a stern face as if to say, I disapprove of this line. Everyone else looked on and felt for Oliver. The residents knew the custom was odd, but it was truly simply the way of things in the old Abbey apartments on Flint Street. Then the strings pulled back into their holes, by automatic mechanism, and everyone returned to whatever they had been doing. Some were watching television, others were reading, others were having dinner. Young Lester and Sable were tending to their newborn son. Life in the apartment building on Flint Street was quiet, and most like usual, save for this one quirk of the handled strings and the chiming bell. Sometimes people would venture to look for the bell. Most obvious was that it would be on top of the building, but Lester once discovered that it was not. He told a very few people about his searching, and occasionally people would help Lester to look for it. Mrs. Cardicle would watch the people searching from her custom one-way porthole. She would take notes on who was looking and what they might be saying. Always searching for the bell, these transgressions lead to hell. Her hair was red and frizzed, and she seemed a kind of recluse. Some might say that Mrs. Cardicle was a shut-in. But she had her reasons, and her husband Frank, in his urn, would not judge her like her neighbors did. The bell rang early the following day, and all the neighbors grasped their handles and pulled their strings from the brass fixtures in their apartments. They met out in the hall again, and Mrs. Cardicle spied Oliver instantly, and judged his efforts as lackluster. Slack was his string. He was not doing as well as he could, and his string was not as taut as hers. The neighbor Lester saw the judgment on Mrs. Cardicle's face, and it entertained the dark parts of his mind. The ringing bell had twisted his thoughts, and every day, sometimes twice in one, he'd be a slave to it. Mrs. Cardicle's judgment was something new. Oliver was something new. So Lester looked on in madness, and a voice screamed in his mind. He thought of scissors and of string, screaming madness and slicing blades. Lester's string was taut, and the mechanisms to it locked in, and he dropped his handle in the hall and went inside his apartment. Lester came back a moment later with a pair of scissors and picked up his handle again in front of everyone and cradled the string between the scissor blades. He looked again at Mrs. Cardicle's silent judgment and relished in it, for now it was directed at him and not Oliver. Lester severed the handle from the string, and almost immediately after, the strings pulled back into their holes, and the people followed after, continuing their quiet lives in their apartments. Lester's string vanished beyond the wall, somewhere behind his holed brass fixture. Oliver spent the day considering Lester. How long has the process been driving him mad? Oliver would like to speak to Lester at some point, so he decided he would, next time he had the chance. But it was evening when the bell chimed again, and everyone pulled their strings out into the hall, but there was no Lester. Oliver looked for him to come out of his door, but nobody came. Of course, why would they? There was no string for Lester or Sable to pull. The curious neighbors decided to investigate, at least to see what had become of Lester's madness. One held another's handled string while one investigated Lester's door. It was ajar and pushed open easily, but Lester was nowhere to be seen, nor was Sable or the newborn. This is what his cutting brought. Mrs. Cardicle gave a wry smile. Everyone came back to their spots and held their strings, not daring to let go and dismissing all thoughts of stepping out of line. All thoughts of knives and scissors banished. All minds were bent on the taut strings. Even Oliver did not dare to ask Mrs. Cardicle any more questions. For the second time in the day, the strings pulled back into their brass openings, and the people retreated back into their apartments, never minding the strange reality they had all accepted with reluctant grace. Mrs. Cardicle watched them all mindlessly slink through their doors, through her porthole, then waited a moment for good measure. She quietly left her apartment and descended the stairwell, then went into the basement. She had a key, the only key that opened the boiler room, and there she came to it again, the caged Ardalent, the demon toddler she kept in her charge, giant and harlequin. Mrs. Cardicle stepped over the bodies of Lester and Sable. The Ardalent had his own string that hung down into his cage, one that chimed the unseen bell, and the neighbors did as they always had upon hearing it. Their strings came to an engine of coiled metal that powered a music box set to Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. It was his lullaby. Mrs. Cardicle fed the Ardalent what she could from the bodies of Lester and Sable. She blew a kiss to the demon toddler and left the boiler room, locking the door behind her. She ascended the stairs and went back, unseen, into her apartment to find the child of Lester and Sable, now hers to raise, a brother for her dear Ardalent. And that's the Ardalent Strings. Short story I wrote about a year ago. And to me, it kind of sums up the way I feel about this playable teaser. It kind of evokes the same emotions within me, the same kind of fear and anxiety, and the same kind of psychological effects, the same kind of mystery, the same kind of unknown realities, the same kind of hidden realities. And that's why I chose to read that today as a cap to the stream. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing PT in its entirety, aka Silent Hills. I'm definitely looking forward to the full game. I hope Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro do a good job producing it. I'm really looking forward to see if, and I have my fingers crossed, to see if they explore some kind of timed conveyance system so people don't hit brick walls so much. That would be greatly appreciated. Maybe something that players could toggle on or off if they didn't want that. But either way, we definitely have two great minds producing the project, so I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you for watching the stream. Thank you for listening to my short story. And tomorrow I'm starting 9 Circles of Couch, which is 9 episodes in a row, not 9 days in a row, but 9 episodes in a row of Diablo 3. 9 Circles of Couch, of course, being a reference to 9 Circles of Hell that are found within the epic poem Dante's Inferno. So a portion of the game doled out for each circle of hell, if you will. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And that starts tomorrow at 8 p.m. EST. Like usual, check my schedule. I have it all listed there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Starts tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. Playing Crusader, the new class. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks for watching. Oh, and also, real quick, I want to mention October 7th, I have Super Game Couch EX. That is, I think, going to start at 4 p.m. We're going to have 4 games. We're going to have Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor. We're going to have Tropico 5. We're going to have Drive Club. And we're going to have Alien Isolation all on the same day. 3 out of the 4 of those games come out that day. So 75% of the content on Super Game Couch EX is going to be brand new. So look forward to that. That'll start at 4 p.m. on October 7th. So be sure to check that out. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.